But Brandon, let's close out the podcast doing what we do best, and that is making our picks for the top 25 in college football. An extra or inextra disclaimer I have to say for this is because we record the podcast on Mondays. The top 25 rankings might be last week's college football playoff rankings because that's how ESPN does them. So if it changes, if you listen to this on Wednesday and it's changed by then, just know it's because the top 25 rankings are from Monday and that they change on Tuesday, but we record the podcast on Monday, so that's why. Also, if you're new to these, we pick straight pick 'em. If you want to do against the spread, let us know, and we might change that for next year if enough people want us to do it. But Brandon, let's go through them. We've got all Saturday games in the top 25 this week, and the first one is very near and dear to my heart, and it's going to be an emotional pick from me. Who do you like in Iowa coming to Illinois to play the Fighting Illini?
I'm going to go with Iowa. I think they had a tough loss this last week at home, and you picked Iowa last week because they were at home, and they still lost a tough game to Northwestern, who played extremely well. I think Iowa's going to win this week, though. They're going on the road, yes, but they go into Illinois, a team that's just, they're still not there yet. They're still not there. They're trying to turn the corner, and they just can't do it. I think Iowa wins big. So,
like I said, this is going to be an emotional pick for me, not because I'm an Illini fan, because, and I apologize if you don't like very expletive language. I'll give you a couple seconds to get some headphones. 3, 2, 1. Fuck the Hawkeyes. And the reason why I say that is, Brandon, I have picked this team to win the last 3 weeks, and they have let me down every single time. They have let me down. 2 of those, you've picked the other team and have gained a game on me, and why I'm back by 8. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say that. After this week, I went 18-5. Brandon went 20-3. Now I'm at 167-57. Brandon's at 175-50. And there's one thing I don't like, and that's being behind Brandon in the picks record. So, you know what, Iowa? I picked you the last 3 weeks. I ain't going to pick you again. Illinois with the win at home to upset the Iowa Hawkeyes. Let's move on to the next one. The next 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, I think we're all going to be in the same boat. We're picking the Citadel over Alabama, right? Like, this is an easy one, correct?
Who's the Citadel?
They play Alabama every year.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm definitely going Alabama.
Yeah, this is the Alabama rule. You pick Alabama until Alabama loses. Got to go with Roll Tide in Tuscaloosa to win this one. Then an interesting one. It's not an interesting one. I don't know why I said that. But College Park, Maryland versus Ohio State. Do the Terrapins have a chance?
Ohio State last week, they struggled, but it was also because Michigan State's defense was really good, and it was a close game for most of the game. The final score didn't even show how close the game actually was. But I think Ohio State is going to be able to win this game on the road at Maryland. Michigan State's a better team than Maryland is. Ohio State should win.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ohio State mainly because I'm not ballsy enough to I just picked Illinois to beat Iowa. I need to not be ballsy on a game like this so I can stay kind of relatively close to you in the picks record, but I'm not going to pick this upset. I'm going to go with the favorite in Oklahoma to get the win in Maryland. Then we've got 2 easy ones like Kentucky. They're going to host Mid-Tennessee. Then you got Florida. They're going to host Idaho. This is easy, right? Kentucky gets the win over Mid-Tennessee. Florida gets the win over Idaho, right?
Yeah, I'm going Kentucky and Florida. Kentucky, they've kind of fallen off the last couple of weeks, it seems like, but they should beat Middle Tennessee. And then Florida, they battled back last week against South Carolina. I didn't think they were going to do it, but they did. I'm gonna go Florida as well.
Well, and the next one I know we're going to be the same also because Arkansas, who's really not good, they're 2 wins on the year, can't win a game in conference to save their life. They're going to go into Mississippi to play the Mississippi Bulldogs who just got, or the Mississippi State Bulldogs who just got upset, or not upset, they got shut out against the Alabama Crimson Tide. Got to go with the Bulldogs in this one. You going to go with the Razorbacks there, B?
I got to go with Mississippi State. I think that Mississippi State, they have to come away. They scored no points. They scored 0 points against Alabama, and they lost. But they have to come away from that a little bit thinking, well, the defense did pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Truly. I mean, they put a lot of pressure on Tua. They got to him a number of times, more than most teams ever can. And they had him on his back a lot. I mean, to the point where Alabama actually had to bring him out because that knee was hurting him. And I'm a little surprised that they're playing him against the Citadel. But I'm still going to go Mississippi State. They should win in a big one here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bulldogs as well. I don't think Arkansas gets a win in conference this year. Then a game that is a closer line than maybe some expected. You got the Spartans of Michigan State. They're going into Lincoln, Nebraska, and the Spartans are only a 1.5 favorite against Scott Frost and this Cornhusker team that's starting to roll at the right time. Brandon, who you got, Sparty or the Cornhuskers?
I'm going to go with Michigan State. I think what we saw from Michigan State last weekend, there were a number of good things where they weren't able to turning the football over on downs, rather, not turning the football over, but turning it over on downs with Ohio State. They just couldn't turn it into points. Mm-hmm. That was the problem for Michigan State. And then it was field goal. They got no touchdowns. That was the issue. I think Michigan State's going to find it a little easier, even though it's on the road in Nebraska. They're going to find it a little easier this week to score some touchdowns, and I think they will.
Yeah, I am going to go with Nebraska in this one. 2 reasons why. Number one, in their last 5, they're 3-2, and all of the wins have been home games. Win against Minnesota at home, win against Bethune-Cookman at home, win against Illinois at home. Both of their losses, though, in that last 5, a 3-point loss to Northwestern, a 5-point loss to Ohio State. They were in those games, could have easily been wins. I don't think Michigan State is as strong as what Ohio State is. Obviously, Ohio State won. And Sparty fans, you're going to get mad at me for saying that because I know you played them tough for most of the game, and I did pick you to win that game. But I'm going to go with Nebraska to get an upset win here and get their first win over a top 25 opponent under the Scott Frost regime, unless this ranking changes and this turns into a non versus non after the Michigan State loss. But we got another Big Ten matchup. This one's easy to me. Penn State going into Rutgers to play the Scarlet Knights. McSorley, he should have a game. James Franklin and the Nittany Lions will get the win and go to 8-3.
Yeah, going Penn State, pretty easy.
So the next one to me, the next 3 perhaps, will be interesting with our picks. The first one is NC State Louisville. There's a lot going into this one where NC State, we both picked them last week. Wake Forest wins in a last-second game. Louisville, they fired Bobby Petrino. He's no longer the head coach. The interim head coach has said that the last few games are not about him. It's about the team. Louisville, to me, this is just me speaking, fired Bobby Petrino, are going to try to end this season out well. NC State just lost a close one, a heartbreaker at home to Wake Forest. I think Louisville is inspired now after the firing of Bobby Petrino, and this firing turns into a win for the Cardinal, who will get their first ACC victory of the year and upset the NC State Wolfpack.
Well, that was really nice and inspirational, Ricky. But while Bobby Petrino was no good for Louisville, neither are the players on their roster. So I got to go with NC State. They should still be able to get this win. Louisville has struggled all season long. And like I said, while Bobby Petrino really didn't know what he was doing anymore, there wasn't a ton to work with. And again, maybe he just wasn't doing it right, but this is just not Louisville here.
Well, and a matchup we talked about earlier, we've got at Yankee Stadium, Syracuse, Notre Dame. I know it's a neutral site, but this is kind of a home game for the Syracuse Orange, as it is in the state of New York. The Fighting Irish to open are at a 9-point favorite by Vegas. Brandon, You going to go with the undefeated Fighting Irish, or are you going to pick the upset and go with the orange?
People can expect a pretty tight game, but I am going with Notre Dame. I am picking the Irish. I think that they've got momentum on their side. They know what's at stake. 2 more games, and they are most likely in the college football playoff. Going Notre Dame.
Expect some shakeup. The reason why I say that is these past few weeks, there's been some crazy games going on. And expect some shakeup here. Syracuse, they're playing in New York. They're playing not too far from where they call home. I'm going to pick the orange to get the upset. Give Notre Dame their first loss of the year and kind of shell shock the Irish, where Irish fans are sitting there going, great, we're not going to make the playoff. We are not making the playoff. We needed this game. Syracuse, they are going to, I know they lost to Pitt. I know they lost a close one to Clemson. They're going to rally it here, get the win against the Fighting Irish this weekend to go to 9-2 on the season. And then one that I love to pick. I know that Oklahoma State, they ended their curse. They couldn't get the win against Oklahoma, although it was close. But Brandon, we still got to pick it. West Virginia going into Stillwater to play the Cowboys. Who you got? Oklahoma State or the 5-point favorite Mountaineers?
Oh, I'm going with the Mountaineers. I'm going West Virginia. They've been on a roll. They've been playing well. Oklahoma State, they're coming off a tough loss, but still one that they can feel good about a little bit to Oklahoma. But West Virginia, they're better. They are better. Now they just need to go and play better. Will they be able to do that? I sure hope so, because I'm picking them.
We're going to start a new curse here. The new streak starts now. I'm going with Oklahoma State, and I'll be honest, I am picking this because of the track record. I know that last week Oklahoma won and Oklahoma State didn't, and Brandon picked Oklahoma, so it's good and dead, right? Not so fast, my friend, because the probability, the odds are in my favor more times than not. When you pick against the Cowboys, they get the win, and I'm hoping that happens this week. I am picking Oklahoma State to beat the Mountaineers at home in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Then we got an ACC matchup. The Boston College Eagles, they're going to play the Florida State Willie Taggarts, who, yet again, as I was out to dinner with Sean and Dave, Sean speaking the truth in my mind that Willie Taggart should get fired. Not a good head coach for Florida State this year. Who are you going with, Florida State or the 2-point favorite Eagles?
I'm going with BC. I think that they should probably get a pretty easy win. I'm surprised that the line is at -2 is all. I think that they'll get a definite win by probably 10+. If you just look at what Florida State did last weekend, it was not inspiring.
And then we go to the Big Ten. We've got Indiana. We've got Michigan. Does Michigan keep rolling and win yet again after losing to Notre Dame to start the season?
Yes, they do. Michigan has continued to play really, really good football. This week should be no different.
Yeah, I'm going to pick them to beat the Hoosiers as well in Ann Arbor. And then I'm going to be completely honest. We've got about, 6 games that are all easy ones. So I'm just going to roll through them, Brandon, and we can make our picks. I'll make my picks for them first, and you can roll through yours. Georgia, UMass. I'm sorry, UMass. Georgia's going to roll in this one. Auburn, Liberty. I'm sorry, Liberty. Auburn's going to roll in this one. Washington, Oregon State. Might be closer than the first two, but Washington still is going to get the win. Then Clemson, Duke. This is football, right? Not basketball. Tigers get the win. And then yet again, Oklahoma versus Kansas. This ain't basketball. The Sooners will get the win. And then LSU will beat Rice. And this will end our 6-game streak where I just think these are easy picks. And I'm going Bulldogs, Tigers, Huskies, Tigers, Sooners, and Tigers. What about you?
Georgia, Auburn, Washington, Clemson, Oklahoma, LSU.
And then let's end the picks. We got 4 left. The first one, this one, could be a tough one, but you and I are going the same way. 9-1 Cincinnati is going to come into Orlando, Florida. Do they snap the UCF win streak?
I'm going to say no. UCF just keeps winning, even when it looks like they should lose. They keep winning. I'm going to go with UCF.
Yeah, I'm going to go with UCF just because I want them to go undefeated and kind of have that question for the committee at the end of the year, even though I know UCF ain't going to be put into the playoff. Then we've got a Big 12 matchup, Iowa State and Texas. Who are you going with?
I'm going with Texas. Texas, I know Iowa State can do it too. They're from the same conference, but Texas can put up some big points. I think that they can do that. It'll be a test from Iowa State, but Texas is at home. They should be able to get the win.
Yeah, this is one. The line is at Texas 3, and Iowa State can be a sneaky one to get an upset this week, and I need some games against you. I'm going to go with Iowa State to get the win over Texas. I'm either going to be good. If I'm right, I'm smart. If I'm wrong, I should have just picked the same as you because now I have then fallen another game behind you. And then a Pac-12 matchup. We've got Leach and the Washington State Cougars going up against Sumlin and his Arizona State Wildcats. Who are you going with, the Cougars or the Wildcats?
I'm going with the Cougars. Washington State, this is another team. They've been rolling. They're at home in Pullman. They get the win over Arizona.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. Cougars get the win. Our last top 25 game, the Aztecs from San Diego State playing the Bulldogs from Fresno State. I'm going to go at Fresno, even though I picked against them against Boise State last week. Who do you got, the Aztecs or the Bulldogs?
I'm going to go with Fresno State. They lost last week, but they're at home. The line's minus 15 in their favor. I'd say I'm going right with that. So Fresno State, I'm looking for them to get the win.
And Brandon, with our non-top 25 games, so what we do, Brandon and I usually pick a non-top 25 game to pick each and every week just to give some love to a team or two teams that are not in the top 25 rankings. And I'm actually going to go first this week and have you go second. Mine is going to be from the ACC. I mentioned them earlier. If they win this week in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and beat the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, they will punch their ticket into the ACC title game and will be playing Clemson in that title game. I'm going with the Pitt Panthers, who have won, I think now it's 3 straight, will be 4 straight. Yep, 3 straight, will be 4 straight. Let's be honest, should honestly be a 5 straight because that Notre Dame game they should have won. So Syracuse, they played Notre Dame close, then they beat Duke, Virginia Tech. They're going to go into Winston-Salem and get the win their first road game of the year, and punch their ticket into the ACC title game. And Brandon, let's end it with you. Who is your non-top 25 game and who you winning? Or who you picking?
I'm going to go with Buffalo versus Ohio in the MAC, and I'm going to go with 9-1 Buffalo, 6-0 record in the MAC conference, and I'm going to say Buffalo keeps it perfect.
We haven't picked many MAC games this year. I think this might be the first MAC attack game. Let's see. Since we started doing the non-top 25 games, Power 5. Oh, no, the second one. You went in week 4? Yeah, week 4 you picked NIU, which was some MACtion action. Or I think it's just called MACtion is what they say. And NIU lost for you. So there's that. Did we have any other MAC games this year? I do not think so. So yeah, you go with the MAC again. We'll see if it holds true for you, because NIU did not hold true for you in week 4. And got you a loss that week. But any final thoughts on anything before we wrap this one up?
No.
Well, this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think of our picks down below in the comment section. What games are you looking at? What are your picks? Give us all your picks for the games that we picked this week. Also, a little housekeeping here at the end. Make sure to help support the channel. We obviously can't do what we do each and every week without your support and without our patrons' support. Check out patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. That link down below in the description. At the $10 tier, you can join a podcast each and every month to talk about the topics that you would like to talk about. You can also support us by getting yourself an MVP t-shirt that is down below in the description. And you can also get it at mostvaluablepodcasts.com, where you can catch MVP each and every day. And then last but not least, please go to Apple Podcasts and iTunes and rate the podcast. Let us know what you like about it. Give us that star rating. Thanks to Dan. He is the last one to rate us on iTunes and Apple Podcasts. I want to thank you guys for listening on podcast services around the world. I want to thank you guys for listening on YouTube this week, as it is a audio only for all of our platforms. Thank you guys as always. Enjoy college football. And as always, have a good day, everybody.